right, we are live. Let's get Iris to join. Yay! I think it's working. A few technical glitches, a few moments to see Iris. Yay! Hello.
I needed to turn it around. All right.
Okay, hi.
Hey.
Welcome. So,
Yes, great.
I
Oh, hearts. Yes, I love hearts.
good. Can you hear me? Can you see me well? That's the most
Yes,
important,
very
that we hear
well.
each other. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
very well.
Good. So
Same
first
for
things
me. Same for
first.
me. Everything working from
Um,
my side to yours?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Everything is good. Perfect. Okay. So first things first, this is a live Q&A for a workshop that I and Iris are hosting together next Monday on January 9th. And this workshop is called From Inner Critic to Inner Friend, and it's going to deal logically with all things inner critic, how to recognize it, how to tame it, how to live with it, and how to make it your friend eventually, hopefully. And this is tailored a little bit to people working in academia, young scientists, young researchers. But since we're all afflicted by inner critics to some extent, it's going to be useful, and hopefully everybody will find something helpful, something important for them in this workshop. And now we're just going to talk about it, about our experiences, about our inner critics, our critical voices that to some extent prevented us from maybe going after the life we wanted to live. So let me introduce myself first, and then I'll pass it over to you, Iris, and you'll tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, my name is Ksenia, and I'm a yoga teacher, and also I'm an academic in the past. I was a molecular biologist, molecular geneticist, and I did my master's, worked a little bit in academia, and then eventually did 1 year of a PhD before I realized that actually this is not exactly the life I want to be living, and this is not exactly the environment I want to be in, and I decided to quit. And this has something to do with an inner critic, and also an inner critic was affecting me a lot when I decided to quit and when I realized that I want to do something else. The inner critic was telling me all sorts of things like, you have no follow through. Who is going to hire you if you haven't finished your PhD? Who is going to want you to work for them? Or you cannot do anything else. You don't know how to do anything else. Where are you going to go? And my personal favorite was, you are too old to start anything new. I was 26 when I left.
Yeah, I was just wondering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that's my story in a nutshell. Now I am a yoga teacher who helps scientists to do their science in a calmer way, in a more peaceful way, more joyful way, and hopefully stay in science in some cases, or maybe also realize that this is not exactly for you. I'm not advocating for quitting, just to be clear, but if that's the right thing for you to do, then that's the right thing for you to do. All right,
Exactly.
let's pass the mic. The stage is yours.
The mic. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Iris and I'm a neuropsychologist and I did a PhD in neuropsychology. I defended my thesis around 2 years ago and I went through a burnout during my PhD. And that was really hard. And of course, you can imagine an inner critic has a big part during your burnout. It's living inside of your head and is taking up so much space. So, yeah, I really had to learn how to deal with my inner critic. And as a psychologist, you can imagine that it's even harder. You're being even more hard on yourself because you should not get a burnout if you're a psychologist, because then you should know how to deal with that. So it felt like super hard, extra failing what I did. And yeah, it took me some time to get a grip, get a hold on, get a handle on this inner critic, and it felt so freeing when I finally got the skill set to really deal with this. And yeah, sort of getting rid of it. You'll never get rid of it entirely, but it feels almost like that. And yeah, afterwards, my after my defense, I started to yeah, teach others, learn other young researchers how to deal with their inner critic, but basically practice science in a more healthy and happy way, because I found a way for myself to make it healthy and happy after my burnout, which made me finish my PhD still on time. So I know it's really doable, and I would really love to show people how they can do that for themselves as well. So that's yeah, we have a similar mission, I guess, to make academia a happier and healthier place, of course. And I'm so happy we found each other, Ksenia, because I also found a lot of support through yoga during my PhD, and I still do. So I was already, you know, playing around with the idea of incorporating yoga also into what I try to teach people. And this is when I met you, and we came up with this awesome workshop in which we combine this neuropsychology and therapy aspects with yoga. And I think that's really exciting. And yeah, I'm just really happy we met and that we're sitting
Yeah,
here today.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very exciting because definitely I'm very happy to see that there are other people that made it their mission, made their life work to make academia a better, healthier place. And yeah, yoga obviously can play a part, but it's not only that. So it's nice to combine different things and bring this to many people. I'm
Yeah,
very excited
exactly.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope people will pick up on our enthusiasm a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're excited, but you know, other people need to be excited too, of course. Um, and I was wondering, because you said something in your introduction, like your inner critic had a very big part in whenever you decided to quit, actually.
Mhm.
It sort of came up in all kinds of ways, your inner critic. And yeah, I was wondering if you have some if you think your inner critic maybe stood in the way of your dreams, in the way of what you wanted to achieve, or did it help you achieve certain things? Because that can also be the case, of course.
Yeah. I think it was helpful at the beginning because then,
Hmm.
you have this kind of perfectionist voice, you have this maybe a bit hyperachiever voice, and it does push you to go for the next thing and then apply for another project or for another position in a great place or something. It does push you, but then it reaches a point where it becomes unhealthy and really unhelpful. It's kind of like it can be it's like pain, it can be helpful because it alerts you to something, but if it's a constant pain, it's like somebody's holding your hand on a hot stove, then that's not helping you in any way anymore. So if this becomes a reason for your anxiety, if this becomes a reason for your mental health struggles, depression or burnout or something, then that's not helping anymore. You need to learn how to live with it and how to get out of this, or kind of silence this voice and say, you know what, I know what you're trying to do. I got it. You don't have to be constantly in my head telling me these
That
things
loud.
that
Yeah.
loud. Yeah. Or taking as you say, with the analogy of the bus, it doesn't have to be in the driver's seat.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
you
I
don't
think,
need your inner critic to control everything in
yeah,
your life, but it
absolutely.
can have a seat sort of in the back and like push you whenever you need it, because you can also make use, of course, of your inner
Yeah.
critic, especially if you want to achieve something and your inner critic is like being a perfectionist or a high achiever, and you actually want this yourself as well, then you can
Mhm.
sort of make use of your inner critic. So that's nice. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. But then it reaches a point where it's pushing you too far, and if you don't have any mechanisms to stop it, if your overachiever voice is making you work all the time and making you feel guilty when you don't work, when you take a break, when you rest, that's nobody's going to benefit from that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it would
So
be nice to have sort of a switch button that says like, okay, now you can say your piece. Now I
yeah.
can make use of you, and now you have to shut up, right? That would
I
be
think
great.
it's possible. You can really, it's a voice, and sometimes it feels like it's not exactly you're thinking these thoughts, but it's an outside voice in your head, right? So you
Yeah.
can tell it to shut up or use any language you want. You can tell it other things, and I find it helpful for myself. You know, you can give it a name and you can say
Yeah.
bye,
Yeah.
get out of
So you
here.
won't shut it up, but you're like, okay, but now I'm just gonna do my own thing or
Yeah.
own plan. And I hear
Hmm.
you, but yeah, let's just, not give too much attention to it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's never going to entirely go away, but you can say, I hear you. Now I'm in charge. You are not
Yeah.
controlling here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's the big difference, right? You cannot
Hmm.
really get rid of it or shut it up
Yeah.
entirely, but you can put it sort of aside and be like, hey, I'm in control here, not you. So
Hmm.
I'm going to do my thing, even though you are screaming, right,
Yeah.
in my head. Yeah, and that feels,
Exactly.
for me, that felt very freeing. If when
Hmm.
I learned how to do that, it felt so freeing, and I could really decide things, make really big decisions in my life as well. Um, yeah, for what I believe myself is the right thing to do, and not according to my inner critic, what is the right thing to do, because yeah, that won't bring me to a happier place, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But to be able to say these things to your inner critic and kind of quieten it down a little bit, I feel like for me, the hardest part was to recognize it because
Mm.
it can say things that seem very rational.
Oh
And
yeah,
it
it's
can,
very smart, your
yeah,
critic.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very cunning, it's very rational, and it can say things that seem really true. And the hard part is to realize that this is just a thought pattern. And it's not necessarily the truth. And you need to hear it and be able to be thinking, okay, this is not me. This is the inner critic voice, and it's not true. And I don't have to listen to it, and I can snap out of it when I want to. So the recognition part was really hard. It took me a while, honestly. Like part of my journey towards the PhD was that I worked for a year, a bit over a year in a lab as a research assistant, and I saw how people, other students work there. I saw myself making all sorts of mistakes. And when I started my PhD, I thought, okay, I'm ready. I know what not to do.
Oh yeah.
And then very quickly, like a month or 2 months into it, I slipped right into the same patterns because recognizing something outside is not exactly the same as doing the work yourself and um, making sure that it doesn't stop you.
Yeah.
So for me, I saw people doing all sorts of things. I saw myself doing all sorts of things. I thought I was prepared, but then yeah, if you don't have any, again, as I said, if you don't have any mechanisms to deal with it in your head to recognize and then to quieten it, then it's going to happen. You're going to slip into the same behaviors. And that's what I did. And that's also what brought me to a burnout.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what did help you in recognizing?
Yoga was actually really helpful
Hmm.
because I noticed that I speak to myself really harshly when I'm practicing. So
Yeah.
this was the reel that we did together a few days ago, and all these thoughts were really, really mean and really judgmental and really, yeah, really harsh. And because you are doing this mindful activity, you are hopefully without distractions when you're practicing, you're not on your phone or you're not, yeah, distracting yourself with some Netflix or something, then you notice it much more clearly. And you're able, at least this is how it worked for me, you're able to recognize that this is not true.
Yeah.
That this is just thoughts. This is not true because yeah, sure, maybe you are a bit less flexible than you used to be, or you're less strong, but so what? And
Yeah.
in the yoga practice, I was able to see that. And then I realized, okay, this is actually how I'm talking to myself also in real life off my mat. And
Mhm.
why am I so mean? Why am I so judgy? What is going on here? And then I started seeing it more often and actually hearing this voice as a voice more often and not as part of me. So this was a big help,
Yeah,
I think.
that's
What was
amazing.
it for you? What helped you?
Yeah, I started realizing I always knew I was quite strict and hard on myself, but I didn't really know like how bad it was. Um, and I was actually quite happy with how I talked to myself or how I was doing in my PhD. But I think now, looking back on it, I really think I was in a very unhealthy environment. So the academic environment, which is full of outer critics as well. So
Yeah.
there's been so much emphasis on what you're not doing well or should
Mm,
improve, or all this negative feedback, this criticism, and you're always sort of scared of making a mistake, because it will be told, you will know when you make a mistake.
yeah.
So I thought at first in my PhD, this was just part of it. This is just how things go. And this is also how I talk to myself. But
Mm,
then when I went into a burnout, I got some therapy. And this therapist showed me, like, hey, if you take some distance from this, how do you look at that? I think that environment isn't really healthy. And that environment is also within yourself. So you think of it as normal because you're sort of mirroring this academic environment. But it is not normal. It's not, oh, well, it is normal, but like it's not healthy. It's you,
mhm.
you can also be kinder towards yourself, and the world
Yeah.
around you can be kinder to you. So that really sort of switched my mind into starting to realize that it is really an inner critic. And the same as you, I did a lot of acceptance and commitment therapy, and I'm also trained in that.
Mm,
And there you really learn how to see these inner critic thoughts as indeed a voice or person inside your head, and not as being really part of yourself. And you
mm.
start to distance yourself from this inner critic. And that makes it a lot more doable, because then you can just tell it to shut up, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was more the transitioning for me. So really from
Mm.
the psychology therapy perspective, and for you it was yoga. So that's nice. Yeah, can be in
Yeah.
different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no right way, but as long as you find something that works for you, as long as you find something that's finally shows you that this is
Yeah,
this is a persona and this is a voice and not necessarily the truth.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, and I think
Mm,
it's also within academia, the people I talk to and the people I guide and coach. It's also a certain type of people.
mm,
Like you like investigating, you like to know how everything works, you're kind of precise, you're a lot of perfectionists are in academia. So I think we as type of people like academics, um, we already have a tendency to be more critical
mm.
towards ourselves and to what we deliver and doing our work.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a reason why the academic environment is made up out of critical people, because it also attracts a certain type
Hmm.
of person. And yeah, I feel like it's really a shame, because you tend to, that's my experience at least, tend to be even more critical towards going higher up the hierarchy in academia,
Hmm.
because that's just the way you're molded into this environment as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real shame, and that's why also academia gets stuck sort of in this being a harsh environment. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. As you said, it's a environment that works this way. It's a breeding ground for this critical people for, you strive for good science. You want to do really high quality research, or help people that you are mentoring, for example, to do high quality research. So of course you're going to offer criticism, hopefully constructive criticism, but we all know that sometimes it's given in a not very nice way. So you are offering criticism much more often than you are offering praise. And maybe there is also some cultural element to it, that if you offer praise, or if you say good things about somebody's work, that they will get lazy, or they will
Yeah.
get a bit more relaxed, and they will not do as good a job next time. And that's not necessarily the case. And I
No,
don't
definitely.
think, yeah, I don't think that's how it works. But definitely that seems to be the thinking pattern inside this
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. That's what I
Mhm.
hear a lot as well. Yeah. Did you have any outer critics during your PhD?
Well, definitely, yeah. My supervisors also in the past were more critical than um, kind. Let's call it that way.
Yeah.
So they were mostly constructive, but also some of them could say something in this very ambiguous way that is kind of a constructive criticism, but also kind of really mean.
Mm.
So, and then, yeah, if you are already prone to overthinking, and if you're already prone to thinking, oh my God, you made so many stupid mistakes, and why did you do it this way? And why were you not prepared enough? If you're already prone to this inner critical patterns, then I think that the outer critic can affect you even more,
Yeah.
because
It
then
hits
you
you
are,
harder.
it doubles down, and then it makes you even harder on yourself.
Yeah. It
And
sort of
that's,
confirms your inner critic, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. And it was hard to deal with, because my one of my main inner critics, as we will discuss in the workshop, there are different voices and different kinds of it. One of my inner critics is a people pleaser.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I want to be liked. I want to be good for everyone. And then, whenever you have this criticism, you're like, oof, they don't like me. And you kind of take it very personally. And then you start doing something, you kind of mold yourself in a way to be more liked by your supervisor. And this is a very destructive pattern, because it's very easy
Yeah.
to lose yourself in this kind of way. So yeah, then from there on, it's no boundaries, it's no um, healthy environment that you're also building for yourself. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think during my PhD, of course, it was also my supervisor
mm,
and some colleagues I worked with. But I think I had outer critics throughout my whole life. I
yeah.
was also bullied, for example, but sometimes also even my parents or
Mm,
some friends. Someone can just tell you something, and then you take it personally, indeed, and then it becomes like this thing. Um, and that doesn't help how you feel about yourself. So
mhm.
that's also, I think, where the inner critic comes from, is from all these experiences you had
Yeah.
also as a kid to really mold your self-esteem, let's say.
Mhm,
And yeah, the academic environment is a very harsh one. So indeed, there the outer critics, and this is more about your professional life, but they then become very important. I think in a bit earlier life, it's more important how you feel about yourself as a person.
mhm,
But now it becomes on a next level about your professional career. So, um, yeah, I think a lot of outer critics you don't even maybe realize are out there
mhm.
that molded your inner critic as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I was drinking out of this mug. It says Miss Sleepy. And this is something I got because I'm known for, I need a lot of sleep. And I used to feel like people think I'm lazy and I'm
Mm,
not productive enough. And, that
mhm.
inner critic, when I got this as a gift, it was the most terrible gift ever because it made me feel super bad about myself.
Oh.
Um, yeah, but now I just this is one of my favorites now. But now I sort of give in to the fact that I need a lot of sleep, and I sleep
Yeah.
up to 9 hours each night, and make
Mhm,
sure I get my sleep. And I feel actually way better. So, doing something different, like a different behavior, um, now is because I believe that inner critic that I'm lazy or something. I believe it less and I don't agree with
Hmm.
it anymore as much. So now I also feel free to, take that sleep that I need, or
Yeah,
I don't beat myself up for being less productive, or, yeah, not working 8 hours every day, those things.
those
Yeah.
things. Yeah. Yeah,
Or
that's
even
amazing.
weekends, in your PhD. Yeah.
Mm,
Terrible. Yeah.
yeah. Definitely it's freeing and it helps you to be more yourself when you stop believing it as much, because then you are much more likely to say no and set boundaries, and you're much more likely to really build a life that you want for yourself instead of conforming to somebody's expectations or somebody's, like maybe our parents' dreams for us or something. You
Yeah.
are more likely to follow your own path, forge your own path in your life, and that's the best thing about the inner critic, that once you learn to live with it, then it's still there, but it's no longer stopping you. You can do something. Of course, you are going to get affected by it. You're going to still hear these little voices here and there, and you're going to sometimes believe them, but you're going to have tools to be okay, you know. my
Yeah.
my inner critic, for some reason, is called Barbara. No offense to any Barbaras out there. I don't mean anything, but yeah, for some reason it felt like a Barbara. So sometimes I can just say, shut up, Barbara. Go take a walk.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do my thing. I'm going to write that email. I'm going to create that product. So now that I'm a business owner, it's a bit different from just being in science, but definitely it is freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. I really feel it that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Mine is called Saar, by the way. It's a short or nickname for Sarah. So
Uh-huh.
no offense to the Sarahs in here, but yeah, mine is called Saar. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be helpful to give it a name or a nickname and just say
Yeah.
address it as this person outside, kind of outside of you. So
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, that's one of the ways.
Nice to also meet you, Barbara.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're running out of time.
Yes,
We
that's a good
said to
place to
keep it,
stop.
yeah, let's keep it around 30 minutes so people don't have to spend too much time listening to us. Um, yeah, I think if there are any final notes, it would be, yeah, about the workshop itself. It's
Hmm.
this Monday at 7:30 p.m. Yeah, Central Eastern time. And we're gonna show you how you can also make a friend of your inner critic and make use of it instead of being only negatively affected by it. And yeah, as you just heard, it's very freeing to finally yeah, sort of tackle your inner critic. Um, yeah, if you have any final notes, Ksenia, I don't
I
know if
think,
you have any final
if
thoughts.
anybody watching us live or if anybody watching the replay has any questions, feel free to just slide into our DMs and ask
Yeah,
us anything. We will be more than happy to answer. And if you're curious about the workshop, go to the links in mine or Iris' bio and find a workshop called From Inner Critic to Inner Friend. There you can read the page, more details are available there, and you can sign up. So we hope to see you there. We hope to give a lot of useful information, a lot of helpful information. We're really excited about it, and I hope you got a little bit more excited. Oh, hi,
oh, and
Chloe.
we decided. Oh, hi,
Yeah,
Chloe.
somebody is joining. We're just finishing, but feel free
Oh,
to watch the replay.
yeah. And we just came up with something awesome for the workshop. If you attend it,
Yeah.
we send you the day after. We have two extra bonuses, like gifts we would like to give you to help you further on your journey, tackling your inner critic. So you can also, so, yeah, after the workshop, you can
Mhm.
still continue working with this. So the
Yeah,
workshop isn't then the only thing you get. You also get our free gifts to help you move forward on this. Um,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a final thing, I guess.
All right.
From
Okay.
Hong Kong, why? Wow,
Wow.
that's amazing.
We're
We'll
happy
watch
to
the
see you
live again.
here. Yes. So watch the live again. Perfect. Okay. Then I think that's it. That's all we had
Yeah,
to say for today. And we hope to see many of you in the workshop. And if any questions arise, feel free to reach out. Thank you again and have a nice
thanks.
rest of your day.
Have a good day, and you know where to find us. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Well, bye.
Bye.